Today we're going to discuss the importance of honesty. Honesty can seem like such a simple word. It should make sense to everybody. And what I've found over the years is that honesty can mean different things to different people. There's different levels of honesty. There's white lies. There's blatant deception. Jerry and I were talking in between takes about what we wanted to come across in this episode. And I was sharing with him that the honesty that I want to speak about, some of it's the external stuff, but a big part of it's the inside. You know, I was listening to a couple of people have a conversation one time, and what they were sharing was their frustration at being lied to, at being deceived, because the person is a very giving, open, trusting person. And they just felt that they were being taken advantage of. And what was shared with them really drove home what the importance of honesty is in regards to self-awareness. And the response was, I don't believe that people are intentionally trying to deceive you or hurt you. I believe the problem is they don't know who they are. They're not being honest with themselves, so how can they ultimately be honest with you? And I've had to think about that. Again, self-awareness. We're more aware when we're dishonest with somebody we're speaking to. We have an intention behind it a lot of times. And then there's those other knee-jerk dishonesties. You know, somebody asks you how you're doing and you don't really want to talk about it, so you don't answer them with an honest answer. There was a point in my life where dishonesty was 100% how I lived. Back when I was drinking and using drugs, I lied so much that it got to the point where I didn't know the difference between the truth and the lie. For me, as we've shared in these videos before, the beginning of my journey of self-awareness was a life and death type of commitment. And I became hypersensitive to the suggestions I was given on what I needed to do. And I asked people, it's like, how do I change? How do I stop living this way? And their answer was, you just use the acronym: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And at that point, my perception of life was so distorted, I thought I was being honest. I really did. I mean, I was so caught up in the lies that I was telling people that they were my reality. I can remember one specific lie that never had the ability to make the amends for, but this was how gross and distorted my life was. I was running my own business. I was spending the money on alcohol and drugs, and I was not being able to deliver on some of the merchandise that people had purchased. So to cover my tail, I went to one of them and said, you know, I'm going to have to go away for a while. I'm not going to be able to bring in that piece of jewelry that you ordered because I have leukemia. Now, I had a lot of nosebleeds at that time in my life, but it definitely wasn't from any disease. It was from a lifestyle that I was living. And then as I finally did get to the point where I was able to get the money to pay for the jewelry to take them what they had ordered, I was taking a friend of mine with me. And I'm going, okay, when we show up, this person's going to ask me how I'm doing with my leukemia. And this person next to me who's with me doesn't know anything about it. So I had to draw them into my little web of lies. That's how far I was willing to go to cover up the things that I was doing in my life. That was the person I was 25 years ago. People ask, why am I so committed to honesty? Because people who know me today know me as a person that is completely on the other side of the spectrum. I'm not 100% honest. I don't believe anybody can be. If they are, I haven't reached that point yet. But I know that for me personally, I will not intentionally lie to somebody. I will not make up an excuse to cover my tail. I will not lie for someone else. I still know that those knee-jerk lies come out at times. And the way that I became aware of that was a dear friend of mine. His name is Gary King. He does a workshop called The Power of Truth. And he challenged us after giving us that workshop to go for the next 24 hours without telling one lie. You had to be 100% honest for those 24 hours. And he told us that it would definitely open up our eyes to the level of honesty that we were living. There couldn't be white lies. There couldn't be, deceptions. There couldn't be anything of that sort. You had to, for 24 hours, commit to being 100% honest. And I learned a lot about myself in that 24 hours. Again, I wasn't being intentionally deceitful with people, but you realize those little things that you say that aren't honest. Now, where am I going with this? It's tying back to that beginning conversation that I was listening to when these two people were talking about the struggles in communications, in relationship, in business. If I'm not aware that I'm not being 100% honest with myself, how can I ever be 100% honest with you? I actually had a relationship, an engagement fall apart because at the beginning of the relationship, when I was starting to tell this person that I loved them and that I wanted to build a relationship with them, there was that part of me that's going, are you sure? And I kind of just squashed out that, thing going, yes, I'm fine. I can do this. Yes, I love you. I'm committed to this. I wasn't. What happened? A year later, we had a complete blowout that destroyed the engagement. I don't blame her for that. I blame myself because I wasn't honest going into the relationship with her. What is the power of honesty? The power of honesty is becoming totally aware that you are congruent with what you believe. This self-awareness journey is not an easy one. It takes commitment. It takes a lot of soul searching. It takes a lot of reevaluating the things you believe about yourself, the things you've told yourself for years that you bought into. So I'd like to wrap up this episode with giving you the same challenge that Gary King gave to me. For the next 24 hours, I want you to be hypersensitive to your level of honesty with yourself and with others. When you're thinking about, oh, I can't go work out this morning, and you start coming up with excuses of why you can't go, are you being honest? Or are you lying to yourself to give yourself an excuse not to go? When someone asks you how you're doing, are you just saying, I'm fine, to avoid talking to them about what's really going on? Granted, there are some people that you're not going to want to share everything that's going on with you completely openly and honestly. But what I'm asking you to do is find a different way to respond rather than lying about it. Gary also says, and I agree with him, there's no such thing as an inconsequential lie, whether it's a white lie or whether it's a grandiose scheme. It has effects on your relationships. It has effects on your communication. It has effects on you mentally and emotionally, and it has effects on you physically because of the stresses you put on yourself when you're being dishonest. The power of being honest is life transforming in many, many ways. And that's what we're talking about in this journey of self-awareness. It's about becoming more aware of who you are and why you do what you do. So again, for the next 24 hours, I want you to focus on your level of honesty with others, but most importantly with yourself. That's where it begins. I look forward to your feedback. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Take care. For a transcription of the video you just watched, more videos, and related articles, visit yourdailylifecoach.com. To comment on this video, select Discussion Forums on any page of our website.